So you just heard about technology of the CIO. Is the most important part is the vehicle to get to do all of that stuff. So we have Patrick Rush here, is the gym contract officer for I. So I'll let Patrick introduce himself.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's perfect to segue after Francisco because CIO really is my customer. And just to kind of this couch where I come into play in the contracting sphere. So when we get a requirement from the CIO, Francisco's out there talking to customers, figuring out what the requirement is, and then they try to find budget. Ideally, they get that budget, and then they come to us for execution. So one topic that I think is very current is how do we integrate into the process earlier. So we're talking to Francisco when he's talking to our customer and getting in there early so that we can sort of get ahead of the curve and execute contracts more quickly.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So I didn't have 20 questions to send to Patrick, so I will feel bad that I got like 10. So Savon's make me look really good with only 10, he sent 20. So
What was that second set of questions you sent today?
so just for you know, I have draft a question to send to Patrick, and apparently is really technical focused, and I have to revise them a little bit here. So to make sure that it's really focused on the contract side of the house. So. I may not go to all of them. We're probably gonna take 15 minutes to go to some of the questions I have for Patrick, and then I'm sure just like I used to be, sitting down there, I'm gonna open it up for one or two questions from the audience. I'm sure you have a question for Patrick that I may not have it in here, so I will open it up for the last 5-10 minutes or so, so everyone can ask their question, all right?
I'll give you time.
You give me time?
Yeah,
Yep,
we have
yep.
20, we have 20 minutes.
Got 20? You cut me short? All right.
Talk to Savon.
I'll tell Savon, we had a conversation afterward. Patrick, that's one of the one that I have in here is discuss how the contract office play a critical role into support innovation from the IT side of the house.
Yeah, so fortunately at DHS, we have the Procurement and Innovation Lab. So me as a chief of contracting officer, 30 people, 4 teams, we execute all the IT for our agency, ensuring that people are familiar with innovative techniques such as using oral debriefings, using enhanced oral debriefings. That's one way that we can get out there to small businesses that or large that weren't successful and describe in detail how they can improve in the future. So, and that's something that is not in the regulations, it's not required. It's just a best practice to ensure that, we benefit from each other. Everyone's supporting the same mission from a slightly different perspective, but we need contractors, we need excellent performance. And one way to do that is to ensure a very competitive playing field. One way that we gain that kind of gravitas with contractors is by openness, transparency, discussing, hey, this is one thing that you could do better in the future, and that gets them back, and that keeps them in the playing field, rather than, sorry, you lost. So, enhanced debriefings. Another thing that I've tried to implement is looking for how we can use contracting to really speed up the process. My agency in particular has a lot of fluctuations that can create immediate needs. And having the contracting mechanism that allows quick change, quick actions. We've dealt with a migration surge. I'm sure everyone's heard about that in the news. How can I have a contract that's ready to accommodate, digitizing paperwork that previously was done, pen and ink, and making an app for that, so that our officers, with their 72-hour access to immigrants, is they're using their time better than filling out paperwork.
Okay, good. Thank you for that. It's a perfect segue to my next question. And certainly we're not going to get out this segue without talking about AI, right? So that's my first word for it. So I understand everything you mentioned, that the cycle of procurement is certainly long in some way, right? Because of a lot of the things that need to happen and all those stuff. How are you, and I know that OMB just come out with the regulation on AI and all of those stuff, and I think all the agency trying to figure out what that means and how to apply them and all of those stuff. What are you prepared for utilize AI to help to, I guess, make the procurement cycle faster, shorter for small business?
Okay, so there's a lot of, I think, angles to go after this. We're consumers of AI in contracting. So we use AI in terms of market research, for example, that can expand what we can find in simply an RFI. And for those small businesses owners out here, please respond to our RFIs. I know it's time consuming, I know it costs money, but it really helps us ensure that a procurement is competitive. So we use it in market research. I can find a lot more quickly if I use a large language model. We're using sort of lower tech AI, machine learning as well. We have a de-obligation bot. In like Francisco was referring to as far as eliminating busy work, that's what it's all about. So I can allow people to tackle bigger, more important problems than de-obligations. We have a lot electronically required all our contracts to be uploaded to a database. Having that as an AI-enabled process rather than a manual process, it's one of the chief complaints of people who are GS-12 contract specialists is I don't want to spend my time uploading every contract, even though it's a metric, even though leadership has encouraged it. They want to get into more juicy things than busy work. So we've done a couple bots. I think this is something that's really ripe for exploitation as well, as far as learning from other agencies. We took that de-obligation bot from Customs and Bureau Patrol, and we incorporated it into the ICE framework. We're using ICE, and then externally, as the previous speaker referred to, the memo did come out at the end of September. We did have it draft in advance from OMB, so I'm part of the AI working group, the acquisition angle on that. So we're really looking at how we've been looking at it before, but now we're looking at how we're going to buy AI. There's a lot of reasonable concerns about AI, that has slowed down some of our ability to implement AI. Suggestion that I came up with to DHS is we do have a database where all of our AI ideas are stored, so to speak, waiting for the green light to go out and buy it. Was using a large language model to speed up contract documentation. A lot of those bigger, more juicy work items that we have for contract specialists are in document creation, and large language models can really speed up that process, improve writing. It can help us take a technical evaluation that I'm getting from Francisco and turn it into a decision memorandum a lot more quickly. So that's an idea that we've been waiting for that green light from OMB. Now we have to look at privacy concerns. We have to look at are we preventing hallucinations and things like that to ensure that we're not sending out gobbledygook to contractors.
Perfect segue again. We not practice this, by the way. So, a perfect segue to it, and I think that one of the things that my next question in here is how does in contract work, how do you guide a contractor out there that willing to bring innovation AI into their solution, propose their solution into the federal, and make sure that they comply into what the agency looking for? I don't know. I'm fading my question.
I mean, that onus is really on us right now to come up with the policies that are implementing OMB. We have 120 days, so we do need to get on that and to give that guidance out to the community. We have two different kind of like sets of how we typically award contracts, at least in in the IT area. We have services, which are non-performance-based services as well as performance-based. So are we looking for a specific solution in the AI area? Are we looking for exactly, come up with a large language model that is taking contractor data and kind of churning out decision memos? Or are we looking for a bunch of smart people who are ready to work 40 hours a week and give us that work product? So we treat those a little bit differently as far as what's the deliverable. I would recommend if you are working in the area of AI and you think you have something that is of interest to the agency, and you do make that call, don't make it a cold call. Try to build a relationship, A, and B, come with a solution that you think maybe we hadn't heard before. If something that is very custom is going to probably resonate a little bit more, or if you know that you have a keen amount of interest. There are companies that we reach out to, and that's really where the sweet spot is you're doing something that's so awesome that we need to go and talk to you. So if you can create that kind of like note for your business or whatever, and make it so interesting that we have to come to you, then you're in a good place.
There you go. Which is coming. All right. My last question, and this question that I back in the day I always want to ask when I go to any conference. It's certainly easy for the federal or the contract office to reach out to contractor, right? So a lot of small contract company. What are your advice for them to reach out to the contract office to learn more about opportunity that coming up?
Yeah, so we at ICE use APFS, acquisition, I'm not going to be able to come up with a forecast system. It's called APFS. And that's where all our contracting opportunities are, as well as SAM.gov. Please respond to RFIs. Draft RFPs are something that is very helpful to us because then we get kind of a advanced lead time on what your proposal is going to look like. And you give us feedback on what you think about the evaluation criteria so that we don't get into clarifications and discussions post solicitation. So those are some ways. We do have a pretty robust industry day cycle at ICE. So 3 times a year we have an industry day. It won't just be me in there. There will be the CIOs and the technical leads in there as well. And we will talk about current and upcoming requirements. So I encourage you to go out on SAM.gov and check what we have coming up as far as an industry day. And then we're using reverse industry days, just kind of taking it to the next level where we sit and listen to what the small businesses and large businesses have to say about what we're doing right and wrong. So it's kind of like a 360. I think traditionally it has been a little bit more closed off as far as communicating with the industry. I think that is a cultural shift that has happened but needs to continue to happen more for those very reasons I spoke of earlier, that it's a very mutually beneficial relationship between contractors and the government. So there's lower, I'd say, encouragement or lower incentives to have that openness, to have that conversation. It may seem like just an additional task to reach back out to a contractor and respond to an email, but people need to see the bigger picture of how we're benefiting the government down the road by having that conversation. So I think there is that openness within ICE, and from people that I've talked to, it's government-wide, there is a lot of interest in having more of those conversations early. Like I said, though, we do get a lot of cold calls. So if you can find that sort of niche that is unique or something that we need, and we need, it will probably be a more beneficial conversation.
Perfect. All right, so I'm going to open the floor up. If you have any questions, raise your hand, and I'm going to run down and get you the microphone. All right, go.
Hi, Patrick. My name is Tim Way with TW Solutions. We're currently a small business prime contractor for an IT contract with ICE. I'm just curious, are there any planned AI contracts that you're looking to put out for procurement, maybe to support your office or just overall within the ICE for small businesses?
Yeah, so I was kind of alluding to I definitely appreciate the question. I've had that question myself of when are we going to start buying this stuff? And we have been really in wait and hold mode, unfortunately, for that OMB memo and figuring out how we're going to ensure some of those concerns, the privacy, the security, how we're taking care of all of that. We do have some like limited pilots that are on existing contracts specific to like large language model AI, but it hasn't been something that's turned into a new public solicitation that we can send out to small businesses yet. But keep tuned, please. It's coming.
Thank you.
All right, Nancy, next one. If not, Patrick gonna have to answer the rest of my question that I sent to Patrick. Yeah, no. So, anyone else? No? All right. You guys to go to my question, Patrick. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it easy for you. I guess the audience is not. So we're talking about AI. We talk about all of that stuff, and I think Francisco talking about security aspect of it, right? So how do eyes ensure compliance and security within a contract process with this word that we're about to enter?
Yeah, so we do have reviews that we perform for all our contracts above thresholds. IT acquisition review is one of the main ones that's dictated by FITARA. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that. We have what's called an Appendix G review, and then we have required security language that is included in each one of our contracts. One, with AI, as part of the working group, is how are we going to incorporate standardized new PWS language into our new PWSs that require, addressing some of those new unique concerns about the large language models. So yeah, that's some of the ways that we look at security. And then security from personnel is a whole nother ball of wax. And I don't think that's exactly what you're asking, but one way we can address bringing people on board more quickly is through some of these quick turn kind of contract actions that I'm able to surge or have surge cleanse on, so that when there is a border kind of like flare up, we're able to quickly address it via an existing vehicle that has personnel on it.
All right. If you do have a question, just raise your hand. There you go. You can skip one more question.
Last question.
You got 7 minutes.
So I'm just curious if Department of Homeland Security have a CMMC type of cybersecurity verification program, or plan to implement that type of program.
Yeah, so I'm not the technical guru. We do have, required cybersecurity certifications. So I would have to ask that of my CIO as far as the implementation of CMMC. Sorry.
All right. Any last one? We got 1 minute. All right.
Just speak loudly, but.
Or you can have the microphone.
So I'm wondering, since you are chief of contracts at ICE, you must read a lot of proposals from small businesses, I suppose. So what are some of the top 3, 5 problems that you see in the proposals submitted to you?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I delegate that. So, but I have reviewed a lot of proposals, and one of the things is regurgitation of what was placed in the solicitation. If you're regurgitating and just putting company name where we ask for offerer, then that's not going to cut it. It doesn't have the above and beyond that's going to set your company up, to be better than your peers. So that's a big one. I think another one is we do a lot of oral presentations, and bringing non-company personnel to your oral presentations that are not going to continue through contract. It's something that we can protect ourselves against by putting in the solicitation, but it's definitely something that I understand that people always want to put their best foot forward. However, if this person's not going to continue, then we don't have that assurance that the performance is going to benefit from this awesome person you brought to the oral presentation.
That could be a problem, yeah, you're not getting the person that you thought you would be.
Right.
But I really like the first one, right? They repeat what you said, but they don't support what they're saying that they can do, or they can do better than their peers, so I can totally understand that could be a problem.
And I think it's also okay for companies, I think that to give us feedback on what's working as far as how we're working. There's a fear, and like I said, we're not incentivized to be risk takers in the government a lot of the times. But there is a fear of protest that kind of like hangs over a lot of our contracts. So if you do have a question about why did you go this direction, or can I get a little bit more information about this, ask the question. It's okay to ask us beyond just whatever boilerplate you got in debrief, and hopefully you're not getting just boilerplate. Hopefully you are getting information that's actually going to be useful for the future.
I think the music that say every time
Done.
just turn on, see, look at me with staring eyes. So with that, thank you for your time, to spend the time with us.
And thanks to Trong and Patrick, Savon, and Francisco. Well, we've come to the end of the day. We hope that all of you took a lot of inspiring stories, made some great connections, built some bridges. We'd love to thank our sponsors, our exhibitors, Cindy, the entire chamber, Laura Belden, our chair for this year's summit. Please keep in touch with us, Asian American Chamber of Commerce, on social media. We have a lot of exciting events coming up and going on, and we hope to see you at some of those soon. So thank you all so much. Have a great day.